Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, a very, very heartfelt thank you for giving me the opportunity to actually come up here and share a story with you and kind of our journey. That's the first thing. Second, I'm not here to sell anything, even though you see an EMC logo here. You know, I'm not selling any storage or anything, so just relax, right? You don't have to write a check to me or anything. So. And the third thing is, I am no management guru. I have no, like Jack Welch was talking this morning, here's what you got to do. I haven't written any books. All I have is a journey that we are on how to really figure out what's happening with, the previous panel was talking about big data. What does that really mean, right? How do you harness the enormous explosion in data to drive or enable growth for your company and to create value? The question I struggle with is data becoming the new currency for enterprises, right? And before I get into my spiel and I only have 4 charts, so I'll spare you the death by a PowerPoint here. What I truly struggle with and to recognize is the amount of data that is being generated every single day, okay? So I have a 5-year-old Gunda, for you white guys, Don, Godfather, it's like a 5-year-old, and he is getting ready to go to the 1st grade. So when he went to kindergarten and he put his step onto that bus, my wife was there with him. She took 300 pictures. Okay? Now, I'm not making this stuff up. I was proud, right? I was proud, Papa, standing back, watching him, going to his kindergarten class, and my wife's with her iPhone, go click, 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 here. They got a video going of him taking a step, going up on the bus. Excitement was there. Guess how many pictures we saw of those 300? None. But think of how much data she generated on that iPhone. And now she wants to put more music or take more pictures. Guess whose problem it is to clean up that iPhone and move the data somewhere, but I don't want to lose the 300 pictures. Right? Now, this is what I call about, is data the new currency? And this is where I was, earlier this week, I was in San Francisco at Accenture CIO Summit, and we met some phenomenal Thai entrepreneurs, okay? And I came across a company called Sky High. They do security on the cloud. And I was talking to this gentleman, and Rohit, and I said, Rohit, this is phenomenal, right? You're trying to drive, security in the cloud. You're trying to, watch for anomalies. You're trying to predict behavior of how people are using company assets to go on the cloud, right? Because the company actually wants to put a chokehold. You can't go here, you can't go there, all that stuff. So he's like, we can enable all of that. I said, that's terrific. I said, where do you get the data? He says, Vic, I use your data. Think the brilliance of that. He's using my data to tell me the anomalies in my data to predict the behavior of a user and charging me money for it. That is what's happening. It is giving birth to a completely new economy. What we are seeing, what we are witnessing, what I am seeing in my 30+ years in IT, and I have never witnessed this, is a tectonic shift that's happening in the technology arena. And the pictures I have on this slide, you'll see some of the new economy, some of the old economy. The new economy, you look at a Tesla, completely redefining how you buy a car, how you experience a car, and how you update a car. So here's my personal story, right? I'm from Boston. There's a mall, high-end mall. Of course, I go to high-end mall because my wife always wants to go to high-end mall. So we're walking around, and guess what? We walk by a store, and the store is selling what? Cars. I mean, you can buy a car in a mall. You don't have to go to a car lot. You don't have to feel sleazy. You don't have to feel like you have to negotiate. And the person who is selling me a car is what? A 21-year-old MBA. He's doing his MBA at Harvard. And this is his side job. He's just passionate about cars. And he's in a mall, and he's got a white shirt, jeans on, loafers on. And he's like, I don't care if you buy it or not, but, here's a car. My 10-year-old at that time is with me. So I'm a fanatic, car fanatic, and the 10-year-old gets in. You know the first thing out of his mouth when he sits in the car on the passenger side, in the shop, in the mall, was what? Dad, I can do my homework here. Just for that reason, I had to buy the car. Now, if you have little kids, you know how much you have to cajole them to do their homework. So I said, you know what? This is awesome. I'm going to buy the car. I'm going to enjoy the car. He's going to sit in the garage and do his homework. So we have a deal. But, again, that was, I'm just trying to make a, light of that. But the phenomenal thing about that is the amount of information that is being generated and how it's being updated. And you heard the panel before, right? Data as a service. I'm sure many of you own Teslas and everything. I mean, I have never owned a car that has phenomenal. I got 11 new features about 3 months ago. I would actually have to buy a new car, right? You guys have heard of Uber? Right? Everybody's heard of Uber. $50 billion worth of company. How many assets do they own? Exactly. What are they doing? Using data. Trying to connect you with the driver, your location and everything, and making sure that you get the car when you want it within 5 minutes. And you're willing to take that, and it's a clean car. They're leveraging data, and they turned that upside down and created an economy of $50 billion. That is the new economy. Now, let me switch that. Let's talk about GE. My good friend Jack, when he was talking about it. How is GE going to leverage and create value out of data? So here's a story. I used to work at GE Aircraft Engines in Cincinnati. In 1962, the CF6 engine was introduced. The CF6 engine actually powers a 747, right? 2 engines on each wing. It's the half double-decker, the 747, right? And the engine used to come in for service once a year. And when the engine comes down for service, they actually take it down to the last bolt. They rebuild the engines because of there are things that are being consumed in there. Like high heat, it burns certain things and all that. They rebuild the old engine. In late 90s and early 2000, GE introduced the GE90 engine, which flies the 777. 1 engine on each wing. You know how many times it comes in for a service versus the CF6 that used to come in for once a year? Take a guess. Sorry? 3 times. Once in 7 years. Once in 7 years, it actually comes in for a full service. How? The 777 has 15,000 sensors, generating about 1 terabyte of data for a single flight. Every time it takes off and lands, it generates over 1 terabyte of data. Now imagine the power of that data to predict what happens on that flight before it lands, to tell the ground crew that this is what the plane needs, so you can actually do predictive maintenance. That is the power of data. We talk about big data, we take it lightly. If we could harness that data and create an economy using that currency, 50 billion is nothing. That is the power of data. I took it from, 300 pictures, when it touches me, to a conglomerate that's trying to generate revenue by offering that as a service to its customers like Delta and Lufthansa and the KLMs, saying that we can help you turn around your planes faster. We can avoid aircraft on the ground. We can help you generate more revenue. Another example, Walmart. You guys know Walmart? Walmart, okay? And I'm extremely delighted. We even have the CTO of Walmart here, Suja, and she and I connected. So a few months ago, I had the pleasure of connecting with their CEO and their CIO. Doug McMillan, the youngest Walmart's CEO, probably in his early 40s, started with him a stock boy. So I just having a conversation with him. And I said, Doug, how are you looking at, all of this data and consumers and everything? And he made a comment to me. And he says, Vic, from Walmart's perspective, what we want to do with big data and analytics is we want to become much more intimate with our consumers. And the moment somebody says that, and you're like, why do you want to get intimate with me? Right? But think about the brilliance of that. The brilliance of that is that the moment I step my foot into a Walmart, if they could predict what I'm going to buy because of my buying behavior in the past, and suddenly because my device is registered, they're sending me all the coupons. Think about it. I got 1 minute, right? So think about it now. I'm thinking, it's like, holy moly, my wife goes to Nordstrom, right? She's going to step in, and suddenly she's got coupons from Nordstrom. She's going to end up buying things she doesn't even need. But that's human psyche. That's the brilliance of the predictive nature. That is exactly what is happening in this world right now. This is what I'm talking about, a tectonic shift. So this is what's happening with the digital phenomena that's happening and how we can harness the big data. Things I just highlighted over here, things that are touching us every single day as consumer. We don't even have to worry about conglomerates like GE and Walmart, things that touch us every single day. This is what's happening. The amount of data that is being generated, how do you harness it? How do you convert it into an economy? So here's another example of what's happening. What am I dealing with as a CIO of a company that's trying to enable of how we harness data? This is what EMC does, right? The demand from conglomerates, the demand from new businesses is, how do I cloudify my environment? How do I mobilify my environment? Because that's what's driving the new economy. That's what's driving the information generation. You think my 5-year-old right now really gives two hoots about a keyboard? Every time I give him something, he's trying to do this. Right? That's what he's trying to do. He said, this is how I operate. My 12-year-old, 6th grader, you know how he does his homework? Other than sitting in the Tesla? Right? He's got his headphone on. He's got a chat going on with Slack with his friend. Right? He's working on his history homework. Right? And there's music being playing in the background. What do we want our workers to do? Multitask. He's doing it at 12 years old. If I'm listening to music, that's it. I can't do anything else. That is exactly how the tectonic shift is happening. The ability to absorb and make sense out of this data is phenomenal. The old IT doesn't work anymore. Having a conversation and ERP terms with your business, give me $10 million, give me 24 months, I'll build you a Taj Mahal, doesn't work anymore. This is the world of instant gratification. It's not yesterday, we want it now. Give it to me now, not tomorrow, I want it now. All right, I'm over time limit. So, what's happening? Mobile devices. So I'll quickly go through it. The new agenda, if you look at it, doesn't talk about ERPs. The new agenda doesn't talk about data warehouses. It talks about data lake. It's probably the second most used word after selfies. Everybody wants a data lake. How do you enable that? How do you harness it? How do you really take that data to create this new economy? So ladies and gentlemen, I know I had a brief 15 minutes here. As you can tell, I'm passionate about it. There's enormous things we can do. And what is the most phenomenal part about this thing is when I witness the passion in TiE and the intelligence and the desire. I just gave you one example of Sky High. There's another company called IASD, right, that uses my data to predict. Doesn't even have to write algorithms. It actually predicts the kind of algorithms you have to write because it looks at the behavior of data. I mean, this is phenomenal. Who would have thought? So again, a huge, 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 huge thank you to all of you for actually giving me the opportunity to come and share the story with you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Vic.